死なないために死ぬほど準備することなんて絵に秘めあらたことでしょう。光栄だけど買いかぶりっすよ。
Hello guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video I will do a full review of the first episode of the 1000-year Blood War arc. This episode may seem to you that it has some fast events, but in fact it carried several important events that we must stop at each one of them. The beginning of the episode started with one of the characters who is completely new to the story, and he says something that sounds like an old tale about the king of the Quincy who was confined and regained his plus after 900 years, and his mind after 90 years, and his strength after 9 years. Then a hand appeared while holding the Quincy cross. So here we were talking about the presence of a king of the Quincy's, and this is one of the things that we didn't know. It is true that Kobo told us the story of the Quincy at the beginning of the story, but what was said about them at that time, it was that they were a race that was living in the real world, but they had a sharp disagreement with the Shinigami over the issue of the killing of hollows. Of course, I'm here speaking according to what was stated at the beginning of the manga. I'm not saying anything from the current events of the 1000-year Blood War arc. What we already know is that the Quincy's are removing the hollows from existence. How is that? The cycle of souls in the Bleach world is based on the fact that the souls in the Soul Society should be approximately the same number in the real world. For example, humans who die in the real world, whether they are just ordinary souls or transformed from some reasons into hollows, they move to the Soul Society through the purification that the Shinigami performs with their Zanpakuto. It may seem to some that the Shinigami kills the hollows by catching them, but in fact they purify them and send them to the Soul Society. Of course, it could be to the Soul Society or Hell. This according to the past life of the soul. But the most important thing is that the Shinigami send the hollows to the Soul Society or Hell and do not remove them from existence. The souls that are in the Soul Society are reformed into an earthly form in the real world, and this is how this balance occurs between the two worlds, so that they remain separate from each other. As for what the Quincy's do, it upsets the balance, so that the souls that are supposed to go to the Soul Society will be removed from existence because the Quincy kills them, and therefore there is an imbalance in the numbers in both worlds, and if this situation continues like that, there will be a collapse. That's why the Shinigami and the Quincy's have always been in disagreement over this matter. What we know is that the Quincy's got instinct 200 years ago, to the point that Shuryu considered himself the last Quincy. And this is what we'll see in the following scenes inside the Technical Research Institute of the 12th Division. The Technical Institute, which is tasked with monitoring the flow of souls between worlds, suddenly its computers started picking up on the disappearance of large number of hollows, as if it was an electronic attack on a website. Hundreds of hollows are disappearing at the same time in large numbers and in different places. Of course, Mayuri came to see what the matter was, and immediately as he looked at the map, he knew that those who are able to eliminate hollows from existence are the Quincy and no one else. But the strange thing here is that how it could be that I have just said that the Quincy's got extinct, so there is no way that one Quincy or even 10 of them can harm the balance with such numbers. At the same time, events will take us to Karakura town, so we'll see someone pop something. Of course, it seems clear that it was Quincy. Why? First, he used a hollow bait, the same substance that Shuryu used in the beginning of the story to attract the hollows. This bait is literally made the hollows go crazy and go where this bait was used. Secondly, and this is one of the beautiful similarities, the Quincy's seem to be in the habit of standing on the roofs of buildings. The same scene we saw with Yuryu in his first appearance in his distinctive Quincy outfit. He was on one of the roofs tracking Ichigo. The same thing was done by this person. But the moment Zenosuke Koromadani appeared with one of the new officers, he disappeared. These two officers are from the 13th Division. The boy's name is Yuki and the girl Shino, who is from the Madarame family, and they are assigned to the city of Karakura. Unfortunately for them, they came after the Quincy used the holy bait, and thus their fate was to be attacked by several hollows and from different places. Yuki has found that Shino has been seriously injured by several hollows, was on his way to the same fate, but here the Karakura protector intervened to substitute Shinigami Ichigo Kurosaki with his friends Orihime, Shadow, as well as Yuryu. They rescued them and made a show of power of all their abilities. 2 days after that, we will see that the two officers were hosted by Ichigo in his house, and there we will see one of the intruders who came to Ichigo. This person's name is Eberin. As a shape, he seems to be Arankara, and in terms of clothes, he does not wear the Arankara costume that was known during the era of Aizen Sasuke. He was even wearing a military uniform. Ichigo and his friends knew this person seems to be an Arankara, and since he came that way, he wants something from Ichigo. That's why the latter moved him outside to see what he wanted. Ichigo said to him, "You are Arankara." But the strange thing here is that the last one, as soon as he heard the word Arankara, he showed signs of disgust and anger, and Ichigo saw something he didn't expect. It's a Quincy cross. Ichigo was shocked. What he sees is a real Quincy cross. But how can Arankara owns that? This cross in the first place belongs to the Quincy and not anyone else. Is he Quincy? No. What about the mask? This is Arankara. All these questions were running through Ichigo's mind while he was fighting that person whose name is Eberin. At the same time, finally, we will move to the Soul Society, but this time in one of the regions of Reikongai. So what we saw is that the 11th Division, led by Ikako and Yumichika, they are investigating the issue of disappearance of some souls there. And as with the hollows, the disappearance was unusual. Suddenly, a huge number of souls no longer exists. This case, as I said, is a serious and the Shinigami cannot ignore it. The disappearance of a certain gender without a natural situation, it may pose a danger to the world, so that the 11th squad was investigating the matter. And the most prominent thing they reached is that the disappearance of souls was not because of hollows, but according to the scene, it seemed to Yumichika and Ikako that the souls among them were fighting or abdicating each other because there were two kinds of feet. Souls with bare feet, which means they don't wear a sandals, and souls wearing sandals. And on this suspicious question, we will move finally to the Serity and exactly the headquarters of the 1st Division. The old man Yamamoto, as usual, was in his office listening to the reports of some officers. And suddenly, he heard an unusual noise. He turned around and see that there is a group of people come to see him, and they greeted him with a bloody salute by killing the last officers who was providing him with the report. This group called itself the Van Reich, and they said to Yamamoto that they had come to declare war on the Soul Society and that this war would be within 5 days. Of course, in order to confirm what they have just said, Sasakibe has been subjected to one of the terrifying attacks. In a blink of an eye, we saw how Sasakibe had stuck to the wall. The attack was very powerful, so that one of Sasakibe's hands was completely cut off. Yamamoto wanted to know who these 7 attackers were, but suddenly and without warning, shadows came out and they had through them. Sasakibe, although he was suffering from these severe injuries, was trying to deliver an important message to the old man, but unfortunately he couldn't explain what it was. He said that these attackers do something with the Bankai. At the same time, Ichigo was still fighting Eberin. The latter was trying to provoke him and make him release the Bankai. Ichigo understood that very well, and he wanted to see what he would try to do if he released the Bankai. And as soon as Ichigo said the word ban, Eberin made this crazy look, like if he was waiting for that moment to see Ichigo unleash the Bankai. So he took out this device and started singing a German chant and tried to make Ichigo's Bankai disappear. But his predictions failed because it seemed that Ichigo's Bankai was immune to that tool that Eberin used. And when Ichigo wanted to catch Eberin and extract some information from him, the latter used the same technique as the Van der Reich group and went. Of course, and I really liked that distinctive voice in the use of shadows was new and gave a new theme to the story. Then the events of the story will move to a whole new place, which appears to be the headquarters of those who attacked Yamamoto as well as Eren who fought Ichigo. The most important thing that was distinctive in this scene was the presence of the Quincy cross on that mural and the appearance of this person. Of course, he was the one who spoke at the beginning of the episode. His appearance was very majestic and even showed a new philosophy to the story. Philosophy of peace mixed with blood. So that he said, I don't like conflicts, and he cut off the hand of some of his followers, and at the same time he talked about peace reports. Peace reports that includes the severe injury of Sasaki and declaration of war. What a character waiting for the anime world. So, and thus the episode ended with the last scene of chapter 484. So guys, that was the episode. What do you think? Give me your opinions and see you guys in my next video.